Welcome back to the Flagship studio here at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. It is a beautiful day in San Francisco, and I am delighted to be joined on the stage with Angela Hwang, the brand new CEO of Metaphore. Thank you, Angela, for being here.
It's wonderful to be here too, Lindy. Thank you.
So, Angela, you are new to this role. Tell us how you found your way to Metaphore.
Well, most recently, I was the Chief Commercial Officer and Global President of Biopharma Advisors. So I'd spent 28 years launching products and bringing, some incredible blockbusters to the world. One of them you'd be familiar with is the COVID vaccine. And I think it was that experience of working on products at a very young age, or even before there were products, and then the ability to create business around them, create a vision for where they would go, how they would actually get into the market. That really became something that I love to do as a part of, my everyday, and that's why I love my old job so much. And I saw that same possibility here with Metaphore. I was really captivated by the platform, and once I understood it better, I realized what it could do, which is to have this incredible ability to take drug design, do it in a different way, and to be able to produce novel therapeutics against challenging targets that we're struggling with today. Like those possibilities of taking this breakthrough science and being able then to create a company around it just sounded like all the things that I love to do.
So really taking that platform and that exploration, building, scaling, and turning it into products.
Exactly.
So you have described for us the moment with which your vision for the path forward for Metaphore, this next evolution, started to crystallize and take shape. Tell us about what that vision is.
Well, it was while I was meeting Flagship and getting to know Metaphore that I had this great opportunity to dig into the science more. And what I realized about this particular approach was that it's trying to take drug design in a different direction. So if you think about the role that I had, where I had launched so many products, but I was at the tail end, right, of receiving these products. And often, we were always, just elated when we were able to launch products. But you all know that it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes they don't ever get launched. Sometimes they launch with not quite the clinical profile you hope for. And so it's over these 28 years of patterns that I used to think to myself, well, why is that? Is that because our targets are wrong? Or is it that the target is right, but we have inadequate ways of engaging with targets? And that's when Metaphore fell into place for me, because what Metaphore is trying to do is to take an approach where we study proteins in their dynamic state, which is how function is driven through protein dynamics, and to use protein dynamics and functional outcomes as the starting points for our molecules. And while that sounds like a good starting point, it's in fact not what is happening today. Today, even with the most sophisticated drug design methods, more often than not, they're starting from protein structures. And structures, amazing, but they don't represent the full reality, because structures are static snapshots of biology, whereas proteins are constantly moving, they're dynamic. So what we're missing here is, I think, an ability to engage complex biology through an approach that can actually measure and visualize what's happening as it's happening, meaning in its dynamic state. And that's what Metaphore was built to do. And so when I then think about that platform and its capabilities, what you realize and why I got excited about it is because, one, because of its functional approach or this functional priority, you're able to ultimately imagine novel therapeutics that are multi-targeted, multimodality, multi-format, as well as have the possibilities to imagine bringing these these products in across a broad therapeutic area. And I think that was really important for me too, the fact that I was able to work with a platform that has such expansive possibilities, because I come from a world where I've launched so many products that do so many things in so many different diseases. I didn't want to be limited by, like sort of single lanes. And I think that the Metaphore platform is one of those where many possibilities, can be imagined.
So you've talked a lot about function. Let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the platform. Functional generative design, for example. Can you break that apart for us and help us understand the nuts and bolts of the platform?
Sure. Well, the platform is really an intersection of two things. It's the live biology, right? The protein dynamics that I was telling you about, coupled with a machine learning component to help us interpret and distill all that information that we're getting from the proteins and how they're interacting with one another. So I would say that, in summary, the Metaphore platform really is comprised of 3 steps. There's the first step of mapping the protein interactions, right, in vitro. And so we're doing this through experimentation. And we're measuring the millions of interactions and understanding all the interactions that are going on between any 2 molecules. But once we have captured that, we then move on to the second stage, which we call mimic. And in this stage, the machine learning component helps us to distill these millions of interactions down into just the critical ones that drive the functional outcome that we're looking for. In fact, through machine learning, we've been able to reduce the scale of information by a Google-fold. So you can imagine, the size of what we're dealing with, the number of interactions that are going on, but then to make sense of it. And that's what we've been able to do. And so that's the mimic, right? Because now we've created a mimic of the functional outcome that we intend or we hope for. And it's that we use then in the last stage, which we call design. Those functional motifs are the starting point for design. And we take that into the last step of the process, where we now optimize the molecule for even more for functionality. But then we also build in other drug-like properties like half-life, solubility, immunogenicity, the other desirable properties that you would want in a medicine. So it's at a high level, but those are the 3 sort of big steps that we take in creating that novel therapeutic towards this complex diseases and complex biology that we're hoping to tackle.
So a huge amount of data, a huge amount of possibilities that you're sorting through, sifting those down efficiently, but also a breadth of opportunities in front of you. So if you think about the year ahead, what are going to be some of your priorities as you step into this CEO role and carry forward both the platform and your vision for the company?
Sure. Well, as you can imagine, we've done a lot, but there's still so much more to do. So I would think that, one of our big goals is going to be taking the learnings that we already have from this platform and making it consistent and programmable. Right, so drive and making it, sort of systematic is one big component, because that's going to lead us and give us the ability then to, investigate other targets and imagine other programs. But that quickly then leads us to then the next step, which is, well, what are your other programs? So I would say that's the second sort of big priority, is to nominate additional programs for this platform. Thirdly, and importantly, and as you've seen from the Novo partnership that we executed in May of 2024, it has been such a rewarding partnership. We've learned so much from one another, but we're also unearthing a lot, about the platform, in addition to delivering, I think, some pretty amazing therapeutic options. And so the ability to engage in yet another partnership that will allow us to explore both the platform but also deliver new products would be, I think, another big priority. And then finally, we're at a stage, we're just at Series A now, but we're at a stage where we'll be looking and working towards a Series B. So all the activities that go along with that will be a big part of what we do in 2025.
Great. So a lot of potential there. a lot of possibilities and advancing the platform into programs with a new CEO. Angela, thank you for telling us so much about it, and thanks for being on this stage with me.
Thanks, Lindy. Great to be here.